All right. This is episode 60. Me and Demmer, we go down some Barebow news, updates on field nationals, talk about the Lancaster Archery Academy spring forward, 3D trials, the first day of 3D trials today, as a matter of fact, is day 2 of that qualifying round. And then we get into some 50-meter tuning stuff, the arrow conundrum that John was in, and a lot of the responses into what he was going through were the same, and John goes through the exact opposite, ironically, of what he did to kind of fix his tune, explain the situation and what was going on. So it really, for those of you that are tuning or trying to tune for 50 meters and wondering why you get some crazy groups and stuff like that, this will help. So enjoy the episode. Remember, share the show. It does help. And you realize there is valuable information. Share this episode of the Barebow Project. Thank you. Good luck out on the archery range.
I think then anybody I can put a name to promote our sport.
The archer who owns all the world records, John Demmer III.
You know, the more difficult a thing is, the more important the mental game becomes.
I didn't eat any supper yet either. How about you guys? Did you guys eat yet?
I didn't eat.
Oh, you know,
I got some crunch berries.
Oh,
yeah.
Grayson Partlow.
It's like me taking 3 or 4 years off your eyes just because I weakened that prescription in the shooting eye.
And don't put everything into my shot that I should, that I get a lot of drop on those heavy arrows. It's dropping all the way down. He said, well, you might want to think about going to a lighter arrow and string walking. And then that's what got that started. So
The rest of the day. And then after a while, like you do that for like 5-6 days, and then they're good. You have to like slowly expose them to the UV.
I definitely did not do it in that, not small. I definitely did not.
And that's why the greenhouse plants are
part of the
fine.
problem.
That's why the greenhouse plants are fine, because by the time the greenhouse gets them and sells them to you, they're already conditioned to the sun.
Right.
They're already used to absorbing the UV light.
Huh. Well, I'm sure people don't want to listen to us talk about plants and gardens and stuff, so we might as well, I guess, get to the business. So before for everybody, we have a whopping 6 listeners. We were up to like 12. I don't know. Everybody heard us talk about plants. Took off.
Yeah.
They're like, we don't want to hear about this shit. So we're gonna quick recap. I'm gonna recap Gator Cup, some scores and results and whatnot, and the spring forward at Lancaster Archery. And then Denver's going to go over day 1 scores this weekend. USA 3D trials are going on. Shout out to everybody that's out in Kentucky right now. Hopefully you guys don't have to shoot the power line, because that is a terrible, terrible place to shoot if you're experienced with it. So let's see here. I'm going to share screen. Do me a favor. Let me know if you see this properly, John. Share screen. You should see archers right now.
Yep, archers. Yep.
So a couple of weeks ago, I had the pleasure of shooting with some wonderful people at Lancaster Archery Academy. Obviously, shout out to Lancaster Archery Supplies, the sponsor of the show. But I got the shot with Paul Donahue. Every time you pull your arrows, Paul's like, I got all my bullets. It's absolutely hilarious. But Paul shot, got to shoot with him. VJ from New York. I never met VJ before. I know he listens to the podcast because I actually was messaging with you, John, and like he was like, I listened to every episode. He goes, everything I have learned. And the dude shot a 319 first half. Like he came out absolutely
That's good.
On fire. Yeah. The second half he shot a 99. But like you could see he was focused. He was like super focused.
Decent amount of 10s too. That's a good 10 count.
Yeah, he shot well. I pulled out a lowly bronze. I shot a 6:04. Second half was a little bit of a struggle. First half, where do you see this? I don't know if it'll let me pull up. No, it won't let me pull up my actual scores. I could probably go back through. Like I started with like a 56, a 55, a 54, and then shot like a 44. Like, I mean, it was my first tournament of the year. It's one more tournament than I shot before nationals last year. So, hey, every little bit counts. Rick Riegel, Mike Nyer,
Are
and
they
Rob.
still are they still shooting alongside their building?
No, what at Lancaster?
Yeah.
No. They're shooting out in the big field there.
Okay.
So like you go out alongside, you go out of the academy, you go to the long parking lot, and alongside the building is their practice range, and then a field is out on the other side of where, like, you know where Casey's target is that she shoots. You know where
Okay.
her practice. She's got her she shed that's there, and then over in the big field that they
Okay.
have like the big curtain and the train tracks behind it.
Okay.
So, hey, just so you know, that storm that you got is like just got here. I'm watching the light flash. I'm recording on my porch, so this should be interesting to see if it gets ugly. So that was the senior men. Let's go back. Barebow senior female. Maggie shot. She shot a 579, 8.042 average. Wasn't her best, but it wasn't bad. First half was definitely better than the second. Elizabeth Humphreys shot a 372. A couple of the cadet girls shot well. Emily Rodriguez, Morgan Nyer, they both shot 405 and a 329. And let me see, Bowman. Nola Nyer shot a 573. That kid this weekend at the S3DA regional shot a 329 half. She was on absolute fire.
Nice.
Yeah, she's really coming along. And then Jamie DiGiacomo, you know Jamie, she's been around for a long time. This wasn't her best. The next day she shot at Palmyra, I believe, and shot like a 618 or something like that. So she made a huge improvement just in 24 hours. But this was her first outdoor of the season, so
Yeah.
you know, that happens.
Yep.
Let's take a quick look at the Gator Cup. Oh, that's recurve open men. We don't want to look at them. Barebow, let's see here. Here we go. Adar pulled out the win down there, but he also finished top in the qualifications with a 592. Shout out to what's his brand name? Red Leather Archery Works. Red Leather Archery Works. I think that's what it is.
Red. I think that sounds about right. I think it's red.
Yeah.
Was it red?
Yeah,
leather?
is it Red Leather? I think it's something like that. Whatever. The dude, first of all, he's amazingly talented. He's a performer, and he makes this. You guys just go check out his Facebook page. He's a good dude. He's a hell of a shooter. Chris
really
Willard,
nice guy. Yep.
He's a super nice guy. Chris Willard, I didn't know, John, you know Chris or know of Chris.
Yeah, I've shot with Chris a few times at NFA Indoor Nationals. He's a compound barebow shooter. I think he shot the bow hunter class for the compound barebow side for many years. Yep. So he tinkers
awesome.
he tinkers with the recurve once in a while.
Well, I'll tell you what, 582 isn't bad, and
it's not bad,
especially if he's new to the recurve side. That's not too bad at all. Then we have
not bad.
I don't know. Is it June Liu? Do you think that's what I'm saying right? If I'm saying that right?
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not.
I don't
sure.
know him. I didn't know if you knew him or not. He shot a 565. I mean, they're all respectable scores. You're gonna have a smaller population shooting down there. John Cockrell, we know. Yeah, I mean, it's Tom Olson, Jason Douglas, all these guys shot. They had a pretty good showing. Daniel Wilson was number 9, so pretty good showing, not bad. Those are your qualification scores for the men. The women, Tracy Ratliff, 507, Kelly Scott, 471. Good old Jenna, sorry, I don't know how to say your last name. She shot a 400. It's a heck of a trip from all the way up in New York there, lady. But these are your qualification scores. You got your junior men, top scores of 541.
Yeah, we didn't
women.
expect a huge turnout for the Gator Cup.
No,
It's
I
not.
wouldn't think.
It's not like a centralized area for like Barebow. Like I would expect it more at like the Ben Avery Shooting Center there for what was that, the Arizona Cup. I would expect quite a few at the Texas Shootout. I'd expect quite a few at SoCal, probably in Ohio as well, the Buckeye.
Yeah.
The Gator Cup would definitely be the lower end of the turnout, which still wasn't. I don't think it was too bad for first time and at Florida.
No, no, definitely not. I mean, you had a big showing in Arizona Cup. You'll have a big showing at Buckeye. Good luck to everybody who goes to Chula Vista in 2 weeks, not this weekend, the following weekend, and shoots out there. But so just and here's a quick look at your brackets. Looks like what Adar pulled out the 6-4 win over Chris. That must have been a good match. 6-4 is that's tight. And
Yeah, it's
then
a close match.
June
Yep.
Wu went 6-0 on Big John Cockrell. He's a good guy, super nice guy. That lad.
Yeah, I remember John. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Then Jen pulled out the W over Tracy with a 6-5, so that one must have been tight. And then
Ooh,
Kelly also.
one arrow shoot off.
Yep. So good stuff there. Happy for you guys. I got to go out. Can you hear that rain in the background? Can you hear it dripping? Can you hear that yet? I don't know. It might get a little dicey here a little bit. I mean, my porch is all covered and stuff, but
It wasn't a big it wasn't really thunder and lightning here. It's just pretty heavy rain for about 20
that's good.
minutes.
Well, I'm probably gonna put myself on mute anyways, just in case.
But
so
you
that
might be getting the red. We didn't get the red. We just got some yellow.
I don't know. I'm gonna pull that up here while you go over the 3D trials first day scores. Why don't you go over those quick, Mr. Demmer?
Yeah, let me find them again. Rookie. I gotta wait for Facebook to load up. Yeah, we can start out with the men's Barebow side. It looks like Dwayne is 5 points up on second place and 15 up on fourth. The key here is you want to be top 3. It doesn't matter if you win it or get second or whatever. You just got to finish top 3. So Dwayne's got a 15-point cushion on the fourth. Robbie's like right behind Dwayne. He's 10 points off of fourth. He's 10 points up, so he's got some time. Yeah, nice. You'll enjoy that. So Robbie's got a good little cushion. Spanky Brooks and Daniel Collins right now are third and fourth. They're within 1 point of each other. And Spanky's got one more bonus ring, so he's got the tiebreaker right now, but that doesn't mean much because they still got 48 more arrows tomorrow. For the women's Barebow, Fawn is got a pretty good lead. She is up 105 off of fourth, so that's pretty much a sure thing. If knock on wood, that there's such a sure thing. And Laura Hughes, she's in second. She's a long time field shooter. She's been to several world championships for field for the youth division. Really nice young lady. She's solid in second place. And rounding out the top 3 is Sydney Phipps. She's got a pretty good lead on fourth. If everything goes as planned, that's probably going to be your top 3. I'm going to go out on the limb and say that. For the men's traditional, I don't know if people are familiar with the class rules for World Archery. Traditionally, men's traditional, women's traditional, they changed it. It used to be called instinctive. It's pretty much some wood riser. You can have ILF fittings, but you can't be able to move them. So you have to lock one in place, and you have to shoot off this shelf. I believe you can have an arrow rest, like a stick on, like an old Hoyt stick on. And that's basically your class there. You have to shoot against the knock, no string walking, no face walk. I think you can face walk now. I think they changed that. You can face walk, but you can't string walk.
Okay.
So for that class, Archie Nixon is 28 points up on fourth right now. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Archie. Archie is a long time shooter, dude. I don't know how old he is. right now, but he's got to be, I'm thinking mid 60s, somewhere around there. But he's a pretty diehard traditional shooter. Pretty good. I think he probably caught a few people off guard this weekend so far. But yeah, he's in first. Delano, kind of a new guy on the scene for some people. For those that are familiar with him, though, he can shoot pretty good. He's got a 8-point lead so far on fourth, so it's going to be a pretty tight race. Lee Wilkins and Ken Renis, same situation as Daniel and Spanky, 1 point apiece, fighting for that third spot. So that should be a good one. And our good old buddy Santo is not too far behind. He's got a little bit of work to do, but it's definitely within reach. Let's see, what's a women's traditional look like? Stephanie Carrera. I forget where she's from. I think she's from Florida. I don't know. She's from a hot state. I just remember that for whatever reason. But she's leading in the women's traditional right now, followed by Tracy Francis. Her name should sound familiar for some people. She's a Barebow archer that shoots some USA archery stuff. Pretty decent too. Mandy Boggs is rounding out the top three. That's going to be a nice tight race too. Fourth place is only like 14 points back, so that's going to be a nice match. Men's longbow, Kenneth Jordan is leading the pack, followed by Trevor, Calvin, and Shiloh's in fourth. He's 14 points back, so he's got some work to do, but Shiloh's a really good shooter. He's got a chance to sneak in there, but Trevor and Calvin are within 2 points, and Kenneth has got like a 15-point lead off on Trevor. So that's going to be a tight race tomorrow too. Shiloh's the wild card. You don't know if Shiloh can really light it up. I've shot against Shiloh in the past, head-to-head stuff for Trad Worlds, shooting for like last man standing kind of thing. He's pretty good shooter. For women's longbow, Makoa is leading the pack with that one. She's got a pretty good strong lead there. Looks like she's 92 points ahead of fourth. So if she does her thing, she'll be in no problem. Joella is in second, and Julie Robinson is in third. That rounds out your top three. Fourth place is unfortunately a little further behind. So if things play out, that should be your top three for the longbow class. There's some tight races and there's some really good leads. Should be interesting for tomorrow for sure.
Well, yeah, thanks for running through those. Good luck to everyone tomorrow. I mean, shoot straight and yeah, have a good time. What did you shot? You never know. You did not shoot 3D trials. Did you shoot 3D trials? Yes, you did.
Yeah, I shot a couple years ago.
Yeah. What's the format? I mean, I know the format. What's the
you got 2 days of shooting. You want to
run through it? Yeah. Run through it quick.
Yeah. So it's our trials. There's no shoot offs. There's none of that. I'm not sure if there's going to be a shoot off if there's a tie or they're just going to go right to the bonus rings. We haven't had a tie in the past that I'm aware of. But you get 2 days of shooting. You shoot 24 targets one day, 24 targets the next day. You get 2 arrows each target. It's all unmarked. So basically, if you're a good shooter and you make a strong first shot, you should know what the yardage is by after your first shot for sure. So that's it. It's 96 arrows straight up. No shoot off, no eliminations, nothing like that. It's all aggregate. So that's it. It's pretty straightforward. One-time deal, man. You only get this one shoot to qualify, and that's it. So better have a good 2 days.
Yeah, you got to step up. Well, good luck to the shooters for tomorrow. Yeah. Across the board, trad class, Barebow class, longbow.
Yeah, wouldn't that be cool if Robbie makes them both?
He could do it. He's shooting strong right now. There's absolutely no question he's shooting strong.
That young punk.
Yeah, but listen.
He puts in the work.
Hard. He puts in the work. He puts in the work, and I mean, we've talked about it numerous times. If he's people need to understand also, like, he's in a place where he can put in the work. He's young, relationship, no kids. you know, he's got the time, he's got that ability to do it. You know, he should be where he's at. He has all of the cards are in his favor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you
And
still have to have the drive. You still have to have the
right,
motivation, the
and I don't want to
dedication,
take away. Yeah, I don't want to take
the
away.
know-with-all, and the people to get the right advice from.
Yeah,
You know, a lot of things have to work in place, and you still have to put in the work.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I worked with Robbie, I think, through 2 cycles leading up to field nationals and then leading up to the classic.
Yeah, he's
At the classic, he showed like one arrow kept him from going into the shootout.
against
One arrow
Dwayne. Yeah,
against Dwayne. Yep.
Yep.
So like he's still climbing, and I'm proud of him. I'm happy for him.
he's
And
made some great progress, dude. Like
he absolutely
tremendous.
has,
Yeah.
for sure. But with that being said, shout out to Robbie. Shout out to Matt Yaka.
Yeah,
He's
Yaka's
setting
not
some-
too far. Yeah, Yaka's not too far behind, man. He's what,
Nope.
9 points out.
Yep.
So
Yep. Still within.
that's
Still
nothing.
within. Yep. Barebow
That's
close.
nothing.
Still happens in 3D
Two
too.
two arrows a target. I mean, it's basically, it could be pull your worst target out of there and replace it with one of the average ones, and that's 1 target.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, but good luck to those guys. We look forward to watching the results. So as we're going to start sort of ascending or descending toward the close. We're going to talk a little tuning stuff. John posted a picture to the group. It was basically like, all right, people, what do you do? I actually have the video here, John. So, you know, the video you sent Grayson and I?
Yeah. Yep.
I think it's PG. I don't remember.
I
I'm
believe it's
share it
PG.
anyway.
I didn't, there was no cussing. There was
I
no
don't think so.
derogatory language in there.
No,
So
actually,
so
go ahead.
I knew,
You can run through it. I'll start sharing. Go ahead.
yeah. So I knew based on past information what was going on. And it was based on past aggravation of probably 2 weeks of shooting like this, like 4 years ago. So I knew what was going on, right? But I gave everybody the information. It was kind of hoping that it would be like a teaching moment for the group.
Yeah, a little bit of a test.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
like I didn't leave out any information. There was at least one key thing in there, and a couple people picked it up. Out of all the people that posted, I think only 1 or 2 people actually picked up on it. So you can see in this video, I got the fletch that's right there on the top point of the target.
You
Now,
want
keep
me
in
to hit
mind,
play?
yeah, you can hit play.
Let me hit play. They'll be able to hear it, and then we'll go through.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
You know, photograph, it makes it look a little funky, but for this to be parallel, this point where the knock should be way over here. That would be parallel. This is from like 25 meters away. That's parallel. Something
It's
funky.
deceiving.
Yep.
So, go ahead. Explain.
So something's funky there. Now, I left the specs of what I was shooting, the poundage, the arrow length, the point weight, and I told on the post that my arrow is doing a complete like a half corkscrew by the time it gets to 25. There was the one thing I did leave out, there was no vein contact at all. I could shoot my arrows, 20, 30 times each, and I won't lose anything on my veins. That wasn't in there. That wasn't necessarily important, because that's something that you're going to miss, because there was no contact on the veins, none. The problem was why I was corkscrewing. Some would say it's knock height, but it really wasn't. It didn't really matter, because the way that thing was flying, it was doing a complete corkscrew, right? Halfway around and then impact. So if I shot further back, it would just keep going to that circle. And if I shot close, it'd be like right there. Because the way I could see it flying, it started here, like here's my flesh. The bear shaft did this. And then boom, hit the target. So if people just close their mind and just look at like a 2-dimensional the image, they'd be like, oh, arrows on the weak side. It's too weak. Based on poundage, based on spine, based on point weight, it's too weak. You're off on spine. One spine, maybe 2 spines. But that's not the case, because I'm actually getting contact on my arrow. You just can't see it. So what happened was, based on my past information, that I've shot this setup for like 3 years now. Basically 3 years. I didn't shoot it last year. I don't know why I didn't shoot it last year, but it didn't shoot it last year. But based on that arrow, I needed to shoot pushing like 42.5 pounds. And right there, I was at like, I think 39 pounds. So I was getting contact like probably this far in front of my fletched. It was never even touching my fletched. So it was getting that weird, like it was coming off the bow and kicking almost straight, but it still had enough like momentum on that kick that it was still kicking that arrow, and it wasn't flying straight. Like if it was straight up weak, it would come off and go right over. Like no question, you can't miss it. Or if it was just straight up stiff, like getting towards the back end of the arrow, that way. And if you have the weird stiff that it's contacting close to the end of the arrow, and it's going to kick it really, really weak. But those ones are easy to figure out, because if it's kicking really, really weak and you're stiffing up your arrow, it might drift over a little bit, but you'll never, ever, ever get it to come all the way, because you're just getting stiffer, 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 stiffer. And it'll just keep doing that goofy thing. And then you can see in mine, like, it's kind of weird. If you're just stiff sometimes and you're not getting any arrow contact, it's going to drift to the stiff a little bit. But if you're getting too much, it's going to hit the back end of the arrow. It's going to kick it hard. But when you start to stiffen up that arrow even more, it's actually going to bring it in closer to center, but you're getting contact further closer to the middle point of that arrow. And the closer you get to that middle of that point of arrow, you're going to be really close to actually looking really good, but your groups are just going to suck. Like they're going to suck so bad. If you're super consistent on your form, I shot a 56 one or 57 one end. I shot 4 10s, a 9, and an 8.
Yeah.
Felt really good. The next end, I shot a 48. And I'm like, dude, that felt good. And the arrows are all over the place. And the next end, I shot, I don't know, like a 51, but the arrows were like this, like straight up, like from 7 ring to 8 ring. I'm like, what the frig? That should have been another clue that it's not knock height, because one end's this way, the next end's this way, next end's this way. Like they're just sporadic all throughout. There was no clear
pattern.
Pattern, yeah.
A repetitive pattern. Too.
Yeah.
They're not always this way. It's just constantly shifting.
It's shifting, and it was like a big circle, little circle, oblong, vertical. But the key thing in that post was I had a corkscrew going. I wasn't getting like a really quick corkscrew. It was a slow corkscrew. So I knew I was close to what I needed, pretty close. It probably wasn't a knock height, because if knock height for me is like, I get a lot of wiggle. Like if my knock height's way off, like, so I was 3 pounds off, 3.5 pounds off a spine, which is a lot. So I was like probably a half a spine off. I wasn't a full spine off, but I was a half spine too stiff.
Right.
So if that was the same amount of error for knock height, I would have seen that tail wiggle so bad, like on the shot. But when I shot the fletched, my arrow looked perfect. Boom, every time. But they would just like look perfect, and it just go whoop, whoop. They just fly perfect though. You look at the knock end, all you saw the knock and the fletch. That's all you saw. You never actually saw any of the shaft turning. Like usually if you're off on spine, you could see the side of the arrow a little bit, and then it corrects. There was none of that. There was none of like the tail high or tail low. I couldn't see that fletch. I couldn't see the shaft of the fletched arrow at all. Like it was all just flying perfect straight. And that's a good sign to know that you're getting contact, is if the arrows are looking like they're perfect, but your group is way under par. Like if you're working way too hard and your form's good, your release is good, that's the telltale sign of you're getting contact somewhere. Figure it out, because it's just you're just going to go down a slippery road where you're just going to get frustrated because you're thinking your shooting sucks and there's something wrong with your form, and then you're trying to fix something that isn't broken. It is a tune issue, and it's a frustrating thing, especially if you look at it through the wrong lens and you think, oh, I'm too weak, let's stiffen this
Right.
thing up. Where
Right.
I could have shot a 600 spine arrow, and by the time I get to a 600 spine arrow, my bear shaft will be in the gold most of the time, but my scores would suck so bad. They would be the same. I'd be in the same situation as I was in that post. Shoot a lot of 52s, 53s, a couple 56s here and there, but you're going to shoot a lot of as many 56s or 7s I'd shoot just as many like 48s. They would just be not good, but the bear shaft would look really good. The fletch would look really good, but the grouping would just totally suck.
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of archers, myself included, that think that they're doing something wrong every once in a while. And it's really just that you're tuned. Like if you can shoot 55, 56, 54 ends and do them and everything works, but then all of a sudden you shoot the exact same shots and that group moves or something wonky happens, but you're like, man, why did that not go? There's a good chance that that's what it is.
Yeah,
you can still get a good group.
A group shift is going to be you, right?
Yeah.
If you're shooting like consistently like this, but then you try a different setup and you think you have it set up right, the knock looks good or the bear shaft looks pretty decent, but you go from this to this, on one good end, like you're shooting a really good end, and it's like you're going 7 ring to 7 ring where normally you're 9 to 9 on like a really good end, the 6 well executed shots, and you do that over and over again, and it's like, group this big, group this big, group this big, and it starts shifting. And you're like, there's something wrong. It's not you. Like if you know your tune is good and you make good shots, it's gonna group, right? It's gonna group well. If you one end you're here and the next end you're here, but the group is still pretty close. And what I mean by a group, I mean like, say you shoot 6 arrow ends, and you have the vast majority of your arrows in this, and you might have a little flyer here and there. That's nothing to worry about. That was probably just a little thing that you did wrong with your form. And then, but the next end your group was over here, but you still have like 2 over here. That was probably you. You probably had the bow leaned a little bit. You probably maybe deep hooked too much, or you hooked too hard.
Right. Yeah.
Like 3-4 shots. That's going to be a you issue. Yeah. But like when you're shooting like groups and they're varying so much, but your form feels the same, you're following through, you're still making the same contact, you're running your fingers across your face the same, your bow arm is steady as a rock, and you're hitting those big groups, there's contact. And I just hope that people look at that and think, okay, it's not me. Okay. And you know what? It looks stiff or it looks weak. So let's try to fix that. And then you try to fix it, but your fletch groups are still the same. They still they're subpar. Then I want you to be able to think that, okay, maybe it's the exact opposite, right? Maybe I'm not too weak. I'm actually slightly too stiff. And if you're not getting any marks on your arrow, you can't see them. Some arrows just don't show up marks. It's just the way the carbon is. Like I've shot arrows that had like a coating on it, like a slick finish, like FAPs. Yeah. They have like the ice coating.
They do, yeah.
Even the nanos, they have like a slick coating. That coating will chip. So if you have like those arrows, you should see marks on like an arrow like that. But if you grab like like a 3DHV, a 3DHV might not have the coating, or like a gold tip Pierce might not have the coating. They're not going to really show marks on your arrow. So it's always good, and that's why I always tell people buy a test kit. Like always get a test kit, like 3 arrows of every spine.
Yeah,
if you think you're a 600 spine, okay, buy a 500, 600, 700. and then throw a shot in the dark. Maybe get an
Yeah.
800 or get a 500. One of the get that variety, because that if I had that that test kit with me, I'd be able to deduce it like that, like 10 minutes. I have it figured out just like that.
Waker's growing impatient. He's listening to this. He wants to know. I'm watching the comments. I'm actually laughing at them as you're talking because you're trying to hit every detail. And Waker's like, just get to it already. What exactly did you have and what did you do to fix it? Like, that's right now, he's probably sitting in his living room or wherever he's at. He's like, yes, Frank, it's exactly what I want to know. So so we saw the video. We know where the arrows were hitting. We know what the result was looking like. So give us the spec on the arrow and the bow and what changes you made to fix it.
So the post is 39 pounds. Arrow is 29.5 inches, knock to carbon. So it's not a short arrow. It's not a long arrow. It's probably a moderately cut arrow. 110 grain points, 110 grains up front on the point. So that's what the video was. That's what the post was. So I actually added 3 more pounds, and I'm probably gonna have to add another half pound. So I'm gonna be adding 3.5 to 3 pounds. I'm at 3 pounds right now. And then all of a sudden my groups went from all over the place. Now they're like, but I shoot a bear shaft. Now the bear shaft is going much straighter. There's no longer this big loop. Now it's much straighter. It's still not perfect, but the arrow impact on the fletched and the bear shaft is almost identical. It's cut. The gap is cut in half, but there's no longer any sweeping motion. So pretty much all that contact is now gone. I have no markings on my fletching, and I shoot XS wings. Some people say they're too brittle. I actually like that kind of fletch because if you are getting contact, it will tell you immediately that there's something wrong. Where a vein,
there's definitely a benefit to that.
Yeah, a vein and a feather is going to cover it up. And it's going to cover it up for an extended period of time. It takes a little while for a vein to get like black streaks or a feather to wear out. It can take a little while. Not always, but it can. Where the like the XS wings or Brady's wings or whatever spin wings, they're going to tell you within 2 shots that it's something
on the same arrow. 2 shots on the same arrow or 2 or 3 ends. You're going to start seeing marks right away.
So that was it. I ended up being too stiff on my arrow, and that was the whole point of the post, was to get people thinking not just like one direction, like one lane, stay in that lane and think that way, but kind of open it up a little bit to the possibilities that it's the exact opposite of what it looks like, because you're actually getting a false read on what's going on.
Right. Yeah. No, that's good. We've talked about it numerous times about having multiple arrows and stuff like that. I guess also a challenge that we've been talking about, the three of us, me, you, and Grayson, is that, where can you bring that poundage down, still get the performance, and find that happy place of tune, holding weight, and not having a super light arrow that will work well in conditions like wind and rain, and being able to, you have to find that happy place, and there's no question that shooting lower poundage is a lot easier on the panic and the release. Lowish poundage, not lower, I shouldn't say that, because like 32, 34 pounds on the finger sucks for the string coming off your fingers, but 36, 38, 40 max for me personally is like
for that spot. and that's that's going to be everybody's individual preference. Like you're a pretty big strong dude, but someone that's like 5'1" and like weighs a 100 pounds soaking wet, they might struggle a little bit more, and they might 32 pounds for them might be like really tough. But I'm with you on that. Like we got to find that balance of what's too much where we don't have enough time to train for it. Like 40, I'm not old, but I'm not young anymore. 42, 43 pounds it's going to require more effort on my end,
more volume
to maintain that. I don't really have that time or drive. So I'm probably gonna try to dig out my 750s and go right back to like that 39-pound mark and try to retune something for that.
I'm glad you said that, because I think that's a crucial point. If you're a shooter that's only practicing 1 or 2 days a week, like for me, that's what I am right now. If I'm lucky, if I'm able to practice 1 or 2 days a week, I'm not shooting 43, 44 pounds. I'm not doing it. I'm not, even for hunting. I only shoot like 45 pounds for hunting. You know, I'm not going to go that high. So you, like those of you who listen to this podcast, and then, or like if you're that person that you're shooting 1 day a week, maybe 2 days a week, if you're shooting 4 or 5 days a week, 40, 42, 43 pounds can be nothing for you. 40, you know, you maybe even higher if you needed to, but I don't think you need to go that high. But you have to keep that in perspective for your setup. You know, where do you want the forgiveness? Do you want the forgiveness in do you want to have that real fast arrow for all weather conditions, but you know, that excess tension on your fingers because of the higher poundage makes the panic a little bit crappier. You know, you have to find that happy place, and for what you're willing to put into it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm glad you said that. That's a good point. Winker said he thinks that every spine chart is wrong. He said, too stiff, how can that be? Every spine chart is wrong.
Well,
every spine chart in the world is wrong, he said.
I can never follow. I've never been able to follow a spine chart ever.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't. The spine charts are a bit misleading. I think most of them are geared towards stabilizer setups. So everything, but then again, I mean, because if you look at the hunting setup, the hunting charts compared to the target charts, the hunting charts require a slightly stiffer arrow than the target charts. I think a lot of that's depending on what stabilizer length they're running, but they're also like, I can never shoot the charts. I mean, I could shoot the charts, but I'm not going to shoot very well. I know Grayson's in the same boat. I think he's at 30, 38, 39 pounds, and he's at like what?
We're both at like 38.
And he's at like what? Is he at a 750 or an 800 spine arrow?
I think he's a 750 in the Avances right now.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna pull up his target real quick.
And that's what I'm gonna probably end up being as well. So
yeah,
like we're shooting the same spine, same poundage, roughly. We're on the same chart.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, I have taken my bow, like people that say like I'm way off on spine, right? Like way off. People used to say that about my center shot. That's an 80 centimeter target, by the way. So
yeah, that's why I'm pulling it up. So
yeah.
So people, just to put it in perspective, Grayson shot a 318 half at 50 meters on an 80 centimeter face. You guys can put 2 and 2 together, because he complains to us that, oh, it's not so great. But if you look at this in a 122 centimeter face, this is like a 56, maybe.
That's a 56 end.
These two reds are definitely out. Yeah,
they're all
right. That bottom
one
might be in. That bottom one might be in though.
That bottom one's close.
Yeah, that'd be close.
It's
so
a 56 or 57.
56 or above. That's all that matters. So just to put in perspective, this is the nonsense that John and I deal with on a daily basis. He's such an overachiever. But you know, I mean, it's one of those things where it's going to be different for everyone. I've noticed, and we've also talked about this, like my shot process has gotten a lot more calmer and a lot more repeatable. My release is a little bit is cleaner, and I'm starting to see that stiff side now, which I didn't see before. Before I was like, oh yeah, they're all 8 and in, I'm good, And then as my groups start tightening up more, and I'm seeing these changes happen, once your form gets to a point where it's repeatable and forgiving, you start to see you'll see more of, oh, I can take a weaker arrow now because I'm shooting cleaner.
And to anybody that says it's more forgiving to shoot a stiffer arrow than a weaker arrow can like
Prove
go
it.
pound
Tell 'em.
sand. Can go pound sand.
Tell them to prove it.
Because if I shoot a slightly stiffer arrow at 50 meters, like if I'm having a really good day and I'm averaging like a 56, 57 end, if I take that same setup and shoot a slightly stiffer arrow, I'm shooting like 53 to 54. Like I'm dropping points bad.
Yeah.
But if I go slightly weaker, I'm dropping points as well, but not nearly as much. But I wanted to go back to like, to the people that think that, my setup is too weak, the arrows are too stiff. Because I've been hearing it for many, many years. Like, oh, it just doesn't work out. Your center shot is so jacked. Your arrows aren't spined right. And my center shot was jacked back then because I was out my face a little bit further. And so the way angles came off of that arrow is different. But every time I had somebody shoot my bow, like Scott Bills, for instance, like we're always in the same chart, same spine chart. He's shooting the same spine as me. Like we're within a pound of each other, pound, maybe two, but we're shooting the same exact arrow. Like we're really close as well. I've handed him my bow and I said, here, this is what's going to happen. This is my indoor bow from like several Lancasters ago. And I'm like, I want you to shoot my arrow, but I want you to aim on the right side of the paper, like right at the edge of the paper. He's like, okay, because I don't want you to miss the target. He's like, okay, shoots it, poof, straight, right down the middle, hits it center. I'm like, the spine's not off. The bow shoots good. Like it's just shooting because that was my eyesight. And when I grabbed his bow, if I shot in the middle of the paper, I shot to the right. We shot both shot basically the same identical spine, but we had our bow set up different the way my eye was seeing the arrow with that anchor. But now, fast forward it now, I changed my anchor down here because we're shooting more 50-meter stuff.
Yeah.
I could take my bow that somebody thinks it's so off spine, hand them my bow. If they got like the same like 28.5 to 29-inch draw length and they shoot it, the arrow just goes. It might not hit the middle where they're aiming, but that arrow comes off clean and it shoots and it groups. So it's not me. Like anybody who could grab my bow and shoot it the same poundage that has halfway decent finger tension is going to shoot like a really good arrow.
Yeah. No, that's good stuff, man. I'm glad we got to have that conversation. I'm sure it'll help quite a few people, or at least put in perspective what they have to work on, and maybe explain some of their crazy groups and stuff like that.
Even if it helps a couple that are just like stuck in a rut and they can't figure it out and they think they got the tune right, but there's still a lot of doubt that they actually got it right because their groupings suck. Then
and doubt's no good.
Yeah, try to go the other way and see if it gets better. And buy those sets of arrows in like 3 or 4 different spines. That way you can take a lot of the guesswork out immediately.
I got some right here for those of you who are shooting Easton. These Avances are what that picture of what Grayson's shooting. It's this exact arrow right here. This is the Avance. These are Jamie DiGiacomo's arrows, right? That she's switching over to the Easton Avances from the X10s, and I have some of the Super Drive Micros sitting over there that I'm playing with. I think I'm a little too stiff on those arrows. They're 625. Yep.
Wait, Grayson, I told you.
Yeah. I mean, kinda. I'm shooting 600 VAPs. I'm a 31 plus inch draw, and so I could get away with it. But these Eastons definitely seem like they're on the stiff side. So for those of you who are planning to make a change, these Avances are obviously, you could look at Grayson's target. They do the job. If anybody says otherwise, they're full of shit. But if you're going to spend the money, if you're going to go with the Super Drive Micro, or you're going to go with an X10, or
I shot the 700. Like my bow can shoot the 700 spine nano extremes, the same as they do 710 Pro Comp.
Really?
Yep. And that's why my Pro Comps. That's what sparked the quick change, because I couldn't get my 710s to shoot worth a crap, and then grab my extremes, and I couldn't shoot a group worth of crap, and then I upped the poundage, and now they're both like banging.
Nice. You just have to shoot a little bit more. That's all.
Yeah.
Get some practice in.
Or
All
just
right, man.
spend money on new arrows.
Or do that. Or hopefully the Eastons work out. But guess we'll have to wait and see. I guess that's it, man. We covered a lot in a short amount of time. I think it was. I don't even know how long we've been doing this nonsense, but
You said this was
thank-
going to be quick, but it wasn't that quick.
it freaking never is. It never is.
I
We
told,
try,
I
people.
told, I
We
told
try.
Tara, I'm like, we're just going to do a really quick podcast this time. Just gonna be really quick. She's like, yeah, whatever. I'll see you in like an hour and a half.
Sorry, Tara. Sorry for stealing your man. All right. Well, I think that's it, man. I think we're gonna shut her down. Good luck, everyone out there finishing up 3D trials. Good luck to Maggie and the crew that are in Canada.
Yeah, Nova Scotia.
Yeah, Pan American Senior and Junior. Pan American games going on in Canada right now. So good luck to all of you. We wish you guys the best. And till next time.
Go catch a big brook trout in Nova Scotia.
Is that what they catch in Nova Scotia? I don't
know. There's some big
I
brook trout up there somewhere.
All right. So they say. He would know. All right. You have a great night, everyone. Peace out. See ya.
Deuces.